Alright, hey guys, it's Chris back again, and today I wanted to show you how to make a fresh pizza sauce. I've got a day left until my double fermented dough is finished, so I figured I'd film this for you first. Now this first step is optional, but I figured I'd show it just in case you guys have some extra tomatoes like I do. Normally you can use canned tomatoes for this recipe, but I'll show you how to blanch these leftover tomatoes I have. First you want to do a very shallow X shape across the bottom of it like that. Don't pierce it too much, if you can see that. And then we're going to drop it into boiling water once it actually boils. And honestly, should be boiling enough. Yeah, it's boiling. So we'll just drop it in gently with a spoon. But yeah, just let that boil for a bit until you see the skin start to wrinkle. You don't want to fully cook this tomato. And we've got our bowl of ice water on the side here because once we get this out of there, we got to drop it directly into the ice water. Because the idea is just to cook that skin enough to be able to peel it easily. Just kind of keep looking at it. You don't want to boil it for too long. And if your tomatoes are going a little bad, you can still do this and just cut away the parts that look bad and just use the rest for the sauce. It's fine. Alright, I see the skin is just starting to wrinkle at the X shape. Just give it slightly longer. Yep, I'm starting to see more wrinkles on the sides. So it's just about ready to get out of there. It should start to split a lot more where you got the X shape. You guys can see that. See, it's almost done. Just gonna let it get a little bit more wrinkly. But dropping it into the ice water cools it off immediately so it doesn't cook any longer. And then I'll show you the texture of the tomato once it's actually done so you know what to look for. And that looks like it's done. Well, maybe a little bit. That one side is not looking as done. So this was maybe 2 or 3 minutes total. Well, no, more like 4 minutes. Yeah, see, now more of it's wrinkling, so it's just about done. It's a pretty big tomato and it was really cold. Might be better if you let them come up to room temperature. But I think that's good enough, so I'm going to drop this one in. You can see it's all... Oh yeah, see the skin's just coming off. Don't touch it like I am, I'm used to hot textures. But yeah, we'll drop that in the ice water. And let's do the same with the other one. We get that nice shallow X on the bottom there. So there you go. And let's use this to drop it in so we don't make a big splash. That's why I do that. You don't want to be splashing boiling water everywhere. But yeah, let's cook that one through. Let's make sure this one is... Oh yeah, look at that. You can look at the bottom of that one. It's really wrinkly now. And so you can just peel that right off now. See? So yeah. But yeah, let's check on this one. Yeah, I got these tomatoes for free, so I figured I'd use them up. And you can use these fresh tomatoes or you can just use the canned ones like I said. We're going to be using a combination of both for my recipe, just because I use up what I have. And it's starting to split, I can see. See, it's really splitting. That's just about done. I think I can get it up out of there. Probably shouldn't use a short spoon like this if you're doing it for the first time. See, that's not peeling too easily yet, so a little bit longer. Seems like 4 or 5 minutes is the key. And I've got this at like a 9 out of 10 boiling temp, so it's pretty hot. Just be careful with this boiling water. Oh yeah, this is starting to wrinkle now, I can see. That's almost done. And this one over here is probably, yeah, see now it's peeling right off. I think when it cools down, it's easier to peel as well. You can just pull it off the bottom there. There you go, you got the peeled one there. This one, I think this one's ready. It's starting to, oh yeah, see, once it starts pulling away easily, although that side needs a little bit longer. But just try not to cook it all the way through is the main thing. I think this will be enough though. Turn this off. Get this out of there. Yeah, that's really peeling now. Get it in the ice water. All right, we will move on to the next step, which is de-seeding it. All right, guys, let's de-seed these tomatoes now that they're nice and peeled. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So, really all you want to do is just cut it into quarters like this. Kind of like an apple. Alright, and then just take a spoon and just kind of scoop out all that seed that you can. I think the pulp is fine in my opinion, but the seeds you really don't want in your sauce. So, yeah, it's not too bad. Just got to scoop that stuff out of there. I don't know, what do you guys use these seeds for? Do you just throw them out or you use them for anything? I just kind of throw them outside so the animals can eat them, I assume. Or some insects, who knows. But yeah, just get all those seeds out of there is the main thing. Or most of them. You don't want a really seedy sauce. You can see there's a bunch back there. You might even want to go in with a knife and cut some of the seeds out. But I'll just show you the general idea here. And of course you want to cut off the stem part here with a little white bit, because that's really quite chewy. You don't want that in your sauce. But yeah, I've got my fresh tomatoes processed. At least one of them. I'll get the other one done. Then we'll move on to the actual sauce making step. There you go. Alright guys, so we got our tomato all processed, but what else should we add to this sauce? Onion and garlic. Now, the onion is probably optional for just a base tomato sauce, but this is how I like to do it personally. So I'll just show you how I dice up these onions. So you can see I have it cut in half like this, but then you cut along all the little lines. It's a pretty classic technique, but I figured I'd show you guys. Just watch your fingers, get all those lines chopped in, and then just, it depends how thick you want the chunks of onions in the sauce. I'm going to do them kind of smaller this time, so we'll dice them kind of small. But when you cook them, they get a little bit smaller as well. Keep that in mind. I like to use every bit of the onion, so I cut all around the core at the end. No waste. Because we're on a budget and we don't want to waste food. And sometimes this end doesn't get as chopped up, so you can just kind of do that. This one's slightly more chopped. There you go. So the onion's ready to go. I've got the pan preheating on the left here. But for the garlic, I'm going to use 2 cloves. And here's how I do it. Just press down the flat part of the knife. Just watch your fingers. Oh, this one's really tough. I'll move my sauce a bit. There we go. You got to hear that crunch. And the skin comes right off, as you see. Now this garlic, it's kind of soft. I'm not sure about that one. Oh, it's like 2 inside there. Whatever. We'll show you just how to process this one. But you want to cut off that little like bark end of it there. That's not a bit you want in the sauce. But you can use a garlic press to get this really tiny. But for the sauce, I'm just gonna slice it up by hand. It's easy if you know, kind of do the onion method with the garlic as well. You cut little lines in it and then you cut along the other way. Get it all diced up. And when you cook this in the pan, it's going to get even more small and kind of processed. But get these all thin. Let's cut these in half and then dice them up. If you're not good with a knife, don't do this method. I'm good with a knife, so I don't think I've ever cut myself cutting up food. I can't remember any time I've done it. I'm usually pretty careful. Maybe when I'm filming a video I'll fuck up. But yeah, we got all this processed up and we'll start cooking it in the pan. Alright guys, so we got our cast iron pan all heated up. Let's put a little bit of olive oil in there. That should be enough. And I like to start by cooking the onions before the garlic because I feel the garlic cooks a little bit faster. And if you're doing any other veggies in your sauce, you can cook them during this step. You know, you can do mushrooms or bell peppers, whatever you want, really. But it's good to give them a little bit of a sear so they're a bit cooked before they go into the actual sauce. And for seasoning, really all I add is a little bit of salt, some Italian seasonings. That's really it. And then the garlic seasons it even more. We'll do that a little closer to the end. You gotta love that sizzle. Gotta have the sizzle. Well, like I said, adding the onions is optional for the sauce, but I just love a tomato sauce with onions in it. And garlic. Those are the main things I need. It would be nice if I had some mushrooms. I would probably add them, but it's also fine just to add the mushrooms on the pizza later. And man, olive oil and avocado oil is getting really expensive. Thanks, Biden! So we just want to get these onions kind of caramelized. I think it's just about time to add the garlic. You can see they're starting to get shiny and transparent a bit. So we'll just sprinkle that chopped garlic in there. Very tasty. Get those onions soaking in all that garlic flavor. And this is going to be going in the tomato sauce. It's going to be so tasty. You can see the onions are getting slightly brown now, so they're just about done. You just kind of want that flavor released before it goes in the actual tomato sauce. I'm starting to smell that browning, so it's just about done. Look at those nicely caramelized onions. I think it's time we can shut the burner off, and this cast iron will keep cooking it for a bit. And we can just kind of set this aside until our sauce is made. So let's switch over to making the actual tomato sauce. Alright guys, can you guess what the next step is? Guess what the next step is? We're gonna cook the tomatoes. Simple as. So I'm gonna start with just like a tablespoon of olive oil. This pot's already hot. And we're just gonna put the tomatoes we processed right in there. You get a bit of a sizzle from the water. And we've got some diced canned tomatoes. We'll get those in there. That's gonna cool it down a bit. So I like using a bit of the diced tomatoes, and then I also like to use either a canned sauce or like a tomato paste works, because it kind of offsets the chunky tomato with a more smooth tomato. So let's get that whole can in there. Don't want to waste any of that. And then we're just going to let that simmer. Get this bubbling. And this is going to take a while, so I'll cut away to the next part of the cook process. Oh yeah, one more thing. You want to start with maybe 1 teaspoon of salt, but don't go over that until you cook it down a bit, because then we got to keep tasting it before we add more salt, and you want to do very little salt at a time. Probably like half a teaspoon after this. Taste it and then do another half teaspoon if it needs more. But don't go overboard with the salt because it'll ruin it. Alright guys, so I've been cooking this on about 4 out of 10 burner heat for 15 minutes. And I'm noticing my big chunks of tomato I cut up are starting to get soft. So here's what we want to do. Since it's nice and soft, we can take some sort of potato masher type of tool and just kind of mash it up a bit. So we can kind of get those big chunks squished down. And this is just the first stage of processing it. So you can see it's still chunky, but it's not like huge cubes of it. So that looks pretty good. And you can see it has reduced in size. It's also thickened up a bit. I hate to break it to you guys, but I'm actually not Italian, so I'm no expert on making sauce, but I just kind of wing it to save money. And from other recipes I've looked at, I just kind of apply those to mine. But apparently, to reduce the acidic taste of it, you can either cook it. And actually, we'll turn it down a bit now. I'm going to go to like 2 out of 10 temperature because it's kind of bubbling and boiling. But the idea is if you boil it slow and long enough, it reduces the acidity just from the heat. For the interest of time, we're going to reduce it by using some baking powder. It really depends how acidic you want it to be, but I'd say go like half a teaspoon at a time. And you can see when you put it in there, I'll do a full teaspoon actually. See, it starts bubbling up, and you just want to mix that through because that chemical reaction is getting rid of the acidity. Some people also add butter or sugar. And we'll probably add a little bit of sugar to this, but yeah, at this point we can actually season it up. So let me grab my veggies. And we will get these in here, the onions and garlic rather. I could have done bell peppers, but oh well. I just want kind of a simple sauce for the pizza. Maybe if I was using this for pasta, I'd add some more veggies. But we just kind of want a smooth, tasty sauce that spreads easily on the pizza. So you can see that adds that nice chunkiness. Look at that. Ooh, this is starting to look good. I've picked some fresh basil from my garden. This might even be too much. We'll start with like half of this, and then we'll see how it tastes once this kind of cooks into it. And that'll wilt down into the sauce, which is good. And I like it to be a little spicy, so we'll put just a shake of red pepper flakes in there. Those are tasty. That'll probably be enough. I don't want it too spicy. And honestly, I don't even measure the Italian seasoning as well. This has basil in it, I believe. Yeah, but it's not as strong as the fresh basil. But I just kind of put it in there a little bit, mix it around. And we'll probably simmer it at this 2 out of 10 temperature for maybe 5 more minutes, I want to say. And then we'll give it a taste, and we'll maybe add some more spices. Alright guys, it's been another 5 minutes at 2 out of 10 temperature. Let's just give it a little taste here. Remember to use a clean spoon for this. It's starting to taste like sauce, but it needs 1 or let's do 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That should reduce the acidity enough. We'll get that all mixed in here again. Get that satisfying bubble. But you can probably cook this on really low temperature, just barely simmering, for a lot longer to get rid of the acidity. Some people like that really sharp acid taste of the sauce, but I kind of like it a little bit sweeter. Let's get this all integrated till it stops bubbling pretty much. So we've done 3 teaspoons of this baking powder so far. And I have mashed down the sauce a bit more. Oh, you can see it's getting a little thicker now. Give it another taste. Oh, that's perfect. Just a slight hint of acidity. I would say if you want it more acidic, do 2 teaspoons of baking powder, or just cook it until it reduces. And I could say it would use some more basil. So let's put the rest of that in there. We're going to go ahead and add half a teaspoon of salt. Oh wait, we got our salt right here. So yeah, we got our half teaspoon. Let's get that in there. Let's mix this up. Let's see how it tastes. That's pretty good. I think I will add we'll just do 1 teaspoon of sugar as well. Because it is tasting just about right now. But yeah, if you guys have ever made sauce and maybe you're a true Italian, give me some pointers of things I did wrong, because like I said, I'm no Italian, I'm no sauce making expert, so let me know if there's something else I could be doing. I'm going to add a little bit more of the Italian seasoning as well. Not a ton, it's just about right, I think. And maybe we'll do maybe like half a tablespoon of olive oil as well. Because you know those Italians love to be greasy and oily. Alright. I think this is going to be just about right. I might simmer this for maybe 5 more minutes at most because I don't want to reduce it too much. Let's give it one more taste. At this point, you gotta kind of stop yourself from eating too much because it's delicious. Oh my god. That is good. And I know I use the big slicing tomatoes for this, but I'm cooking on a budget, so I'm going to use any tomatoes I have. It's probably best to use, you know, the what they call the vine tomatoes. I'm sure those are sweeter, but whatever tomatoes you use, you can kind of increase the sweetness with a little sugar. But this tastes just right to me, so I think 5 more minutes and it'll be done. I mean, look at that color and texture. Let's zoom in a bit if we can. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. And it is a bit chunky. This would be good for pasta at this level of chunky, but after we're done cooking it, we'll process it even more in the blender. to get it a nice spreadable consistency for the actual pizza. That's what we're using this for. Alright, I think it's just about ready. I've tasted it one more time and I think it could use just slightly more sweetness. So I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more teaspoon of the sugar. But that should be enough. You just want it to be slightly sweet. You don't want super sweet sauce. So let's give that a taste. Yep, that's it. That is good. Alright, so the sauce is done, I think. So we've got this nice little glass container here I keep my pizza sauce in. We'll just go ahead and empty it in there very slowly so it doesn't splash. Be careful. And you can see it is pretty chunky still. But we're going to process this after it cools off. Get all that out of there if I can. Using the spatula. Okay. Because we don't want to waste any of this delicious sauce. But yeah, we will let this cool down. I would say maybe 10 or 15 minutes. This will be cool enough and we'll put it in the blender. Let's give you a look at that. Look at that beautiful sauce. Ooh yeah. Alright guys, we've waited about 20 minutes for this to cool. It's still a little bit hot, but we just didn't want it piping hot going into this blender here. So let's try to slowly, without splashing it, get it in there. There we go. Want to get all that in there, all the chunks anyways. And I did actually add 1 more teaspoon of sugar because it wasn't quite as sweet as I wanted it after I mixed it up a bit more. So let's get this top on. We're going to turn this on and just do the pulse setting so we can really control how blended it gets. So just keep pulsing. Just keep pulsing. Keep pulsing, keep pulsing. You're asking the fakest fucking Italian in the world to stop pulsing. That looks about good. Let's take a look. That consistency. Yeah, that looks about right. It's got a little bit of chunk to it, but it looks way more spreadable for pizza. So let's just go ahead and pour that back out. Oh my goodness, look at that. That is exactly how you want it to look, at least in my opinion. But like I said, I'm the fakest fucking Italian in the world. And good thing I'm not Italian. Alright. So yeah, that is pretty much it. And then just kind of refrigerate this. And I think it gains a bit of flavor overnight if you refrigerate it. Let's give it one more taste test. Show you guys that. Look at that consistency. That's perfect. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. That is really good. So we will put this in the fridge until tomorrow. But tonight I'm going to film the next part of the dough recipe, and that is taking it out after the first fermentation, forming the ball, and then fermenting it for another 24 hours. So yeah, once I get all this done, you'll get a pizza making video. So look forward to that, guys. Alright, see you on the next video. Peace out.